Welcome to Canadian Coffee as Crime. My name is Catherine. I right now have the amazing experience of working at the top of the world with the Jasper Sky Tram in Alberta with amazing people. If you're in the area, please stop by. Go for a gondola ride. Go for a hike to the top of a mountain. See some animals. Look at that baby. Look at his little face. I hope you respond to that. Hey, baby. Aww. Look at your little face. So cute. Oh, you're coming closer. Aww. Don't drop my phone. Hi. Aww. Enjoy a drink and maybe some lunch with us and say hi. If you're scared of heights, although it's probably not for you. I thought I would cover all the stories from the haunted stamp and coin collection that the Canadian Mint put together in 2016. Today's story is coming from a province in the Maritimes called New Brunswick. We are heading to the Miramichi area. Miramichi is a city with a population of around 18,000 people. The primary economy is mining, fishing, tourism, and forestry. Its inhabitants are mostly Mi'kmaq, Acadian, English, Scottish, and Irish. About an hour down the road, you can find a tourist attraction called the Magnetic Hill, which is a hill where water appears to flow in a ditch in an uphill direction due to an optical illusion. A vehicles appear to roll uphill backwards when placed in neutral. This story was based on actual mysterious incidents around Miramichi in the mid-1800s. The Dungarvon River flows through central New Brunswick, meandering down towards the Renew River and then further along to the Miramichi River. The area surrounding the waters is covered in thick, dense forest. The bounty of tall trees became a prime location to set up lumbering operations. Back then, you can find lumberjack camps set up all around the way down the river. During the long winter months, the men working these forests were holed up in their camps. The stories they shared to pass the time lived on far after their work was complete. The mysterious events began in 1869 in the forests of Clearwater Brook in the Miramichi area right after the Saxby Gale hurricane blasted the Maritimes with 100-mile-an-hour winds and a 2-meter-high storm surges, dealing significant damage to the region. To this day, the gale remains the 10th deadliest hurricane in Canadian history. The story revolves around a young Irish cook. His name was Ryan. Ryan was hired to work as a cook in one of the many logging camps along the river after his arrival from Ireland. Ryan got a job with a lumber camp located somewhere along or very near to the Dungarvon River, bringing all of his possessions with him, including a money belt. Around his waist it was fastened and stuffed with coins and large bills, which he wore at all times. Nobody knew where he got the money from, but the young cook made no secret of the fact that there was plenty of it. The loggers took a liking to the boy, as he always worked hard and served them many warm and delicious meals. Ryan was a handsome fellow, tall and strong, with ruddy cheeks and black curly hair. He was well liked and could whoop and holler better than anyone in camp. and a good strong shout was an accomplishment much valued among woodsmen. This year was a cold winter, and the snow was deep in the woods surrounding the logging camp near Dungarvon River. But there was plenty of game to be found if you were a good hunter, so the men didn't go hungry. Every morning Ryan was the first one up so as to prepare breakfast and fill the lunch pails with bread and salt pork. Then he would let out a tremendous ear-splitting whoop to get everyone up. After breakfast, the men would go off to work, leaving young Ryan alone. One day, while the lumberjacks were out, Ryan was left alone with the boss of the camp, who decides to murder and rob the young cook. When the crew returned late in the afternoon, they found young Ryan lying lifeless on the floor. He was dead, and his money belt was gone. The boss explained that the cook had taken sick and died suddenly. That night, a raging storm swept upon the camp, making it impossible to leave, so the men had to bury the poor cook in a shallow grave in the forest. They then buried the body in the forest some distance from the camp. As they trudged back to the camp, they stopped dead in their tracks. For above the howling and moaning of the wind came the most dreadful whoops and screams anyone has ever heard. A terrible whooping sound kept the group from falling asleep that night, presumably the ghost of Ryan crying out against the crime of which he was the victim. It continued all that night and all the next day, driving the men crazy with fear. They left the camp never to return. The next morning, the story, which was handed down to lumberers working in New Brunswick throughout the 20th century, is well known in local culture. It was taken seriously enough by the men by the turn of the century that Reverend Edward Murdoch, a Roman Catholic priest from Brand-New, performed an exorcism at the professed gravesite at Whooper Spring. Some say Father Murdoch succeeded in quietening the ghost, but others declare the fearful cries of Ryan can be heard to this very day. There is a chainsaw carving of Ryan at Municipal Park in Miramichi River Valley. Lumberjacks who work along the river warn of the smell of frying bacon that wafts through the forest and fear that it's Ryan's spirit attempting to lure its murderer out deep into the deep woods. Not to mention the many accounts of other folks who have heard the wails for themselves. It seems to only happen around sundown, and the sound echoes from different locations along the river's shore. If you go walking at dusk in the woods near the Dungarvon River, beware. The terrifying screams of the ghost they call the Whooper can still be heard deep within the New Brunswick forests of the Miramichi Highlands. Railway men claim that the mighty wails of the Whooper came from a phantom locomotive that was lost during the Great Miramichi Fire in 1825. Despite the raging flames, the crew perished and rode the train through the fire. They were never found, but the screaming sound of the steam engine is said to still ring through the forest. What was once a nightly passenger train soon became a small part of the Whooper legend. The nickname Dungarvon Whooper was later given to a numbered passenger train operated by the Canadian East Railway running from Newcastle to Fredericton along the southwest Miramichi River. It is said that the sound of the steam locomotive whistle reminded local residents of the legend. The passenger train ceased operation in the early 1960s. The Dungarvon Whooper is a ghost story immortalized in a song and was published in a local newspaper by Michael Whelan in 1912. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Catherine, and this is Canadian Coffee House Crime, and this concludes story 2 of the 2016 Haunted Canada Mint Stamp series. The next story will be the third story of the 2016 Haunted Stamp and Coin Collection, called the Winter Garden Theatre from Ontario. See you in the next case.